In tonight's headlines, May Day fireworks may be called off as the Observatory forecasts showers and squally thunderstorms. Justice Secretary Paul Lam said media can still criticize the government as the national security legislation places no restrictions on press freedom. And activist becomes first recipient of new ID card after getting his gender reassigned on the document.
The weather could play spoilsport during the upcoming Labor Day Golden Week. In a bid to lure travelers from across the border during the long holiday on the mainland, the Tourism Board has planned a 10-minute fireworks show at Victoria Harbour on May 1st. It is the first of a series of pyrotechnic displays which the government plans to hold on a monthly basis going forward. According to the Observatory's forecast, the weather on Labor Day is expected to be cloudy with showers and squally thunderstorms. Tourism Chief Kevin Yeung earlier said crowds should be prepared for a possible cancellation, and a decision would be made by Wednesday afternoon if the display will be affected.
所以你話好大嘅失落感咧，反而我覺得就未必咯，未必會係咯嚇。
Sarah Leung, who chairs the Federation of Hong Kong Trade Unions in Tourism, believes calling off the event would not cause a major impact to travelers. This is because fireworks shows are very common in first and second-tier cities on the mainland. Taking to the airwaves this morning, Travel Industry Council Chairwoman Gianna Xu revealed that the city is expecting 800 mainland tours during the holiday. The figure has almost returned to pre-pandemic levels. Most of the tours are spending 2 nights in the city, and only a single-digit percentage of groups opted for a 3-night stay. Meanwhile, an art installation featuring hundreds of glowing egg-shaped objects on display at Timber Park were deflated due to unstable weather. But only exhibits measuring 5 meters in height and in windy areas were affected. This traveler from Zhejiang was not disappointed of the arrangement, saying it was understandable. The Leisure and Cultural Services Department will consider blowing up the installations once the weather turns stable. Janice Low, Cable News.
Secretary of Justice Paul Lam said Hong Kong's new national security law under Article 23 does not impose extra and unreasonable restrictions on the freedom of the press, and that the media is still allowed to sharply and harshly criticize the government. In an op-ed published in Ming Pao Daily, the Justice Chief echoed the director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office Xia Baolong's earlier speech, reminding Hong Kong to actively seek for change. He said the domestic national security law implemented changes that align with national security laws in China, without undermining Hong Kong's common law system, which upholds the city's rule of law. While the government expects the media to disseminate accurate, fair, and positive information, it is also important for journalists to accurately reflect the true thoughts and needs of the public. He added that as long as the media adheres to professional principles of truth-seeking, fairness, objectivity, impartiality, and comprehensive reporting, there is no need for concern about violating the law.
Hong Kong will raise the minimum wage by $1.80 to $41.80 per hour this year, according to sources. A new formula to calculate the wage will be introduced, which will not allow pay cuts. According to sources close to the city's minimum wage commission, wages will also be reviewed annually, rather than every 2 years at present. It is believed, under the revamped mechanism, the wage rate would be calculated based on the latest economic growth, and there would only be an increment or a freeze in salary. Last year, the rate was raised to $40 an hour, about 6.7% up from the previous $37.50.
As the first individual in the city to get his gender changed on his Hong Kong identity card, Henry Tse did breathe a sigh of relief when he was given his documents at the immigration tower in Wan Chai this morning.
in the past 7 years, I've received a lot of cases. A lot of them are people like me, and they can't get married. That leads to other problems, spousal visas, adoption, etc. And I really hope that after today, this is not a one-time solution, obviously, but I hope that this will solve all the burning issues for me and the people behind me.
Tse's judicial marathon began in 2017 when his request to change his gender from female to male on his identity card was denied. In February last year, the Court of Final Appeal ruled that the government's refusal to allow transgender people to use their preferred gender on their identity cards without undergoing full reassignment surgery has violated their rights. The government finally updated its policy in response to the court's decisions earlier this month. Tse intends to pursue further legal action to hold the government accountable for the lengthy delays in implementing the gender identity change process. The new document will allow him to update his passport and mainland travel permit.
Prosecution witness Wong Chun-keung was among those taken to the High Court today as the trial in the city's first case under the United Nations anti-terrorism laws continued. Wong and 7 others were alleged of plotting to murder police officers during the 2019 social unrest. As the leader of a group called the Dragon Slaying Brigade, Wong had earlier pleaded guilty. He told Judge Juliana Barnes he had been participating in rallies after protesters clashed with police outside government headquarters on June 12, 2019. Wong, who was 20 at the time, resigned from his job as construction worker 1 day after the rioting incident in Yuen Long in July 2019 to fully commit himself to the cause. Wong was made the leader, and despite the whole unit consisting of more than 30 people, only 10 were actively involved along with Wong. Wong confirmed that defendants Yim Man Him, Chang Chen-fu, Christian Lee, and Chang Meng-yu were part of the elite team. Janice Low, Cable News.
The Labour Department has updated its guidelines on suspension of outdoor work once the temperature goes beyond a certain point. The new guidelines, which are in sync with the Observatory's hot weather warnings, will come into force next month and are supposed to enhance the existing heat stress warning system. The Labour Department launched the 3-tier heat stress at work alert system last year, but it was followed by waves of criticism as employers and outdoor workers alike found it confusing. The observatory generally issues an extremely hot alert when the temperature hits 35 degrees Celsius or above. On such occasions, the Labour Department will then activate its color-coded warnings, which would force employers to give the workers a break. The guidelines stress the duration of the breaks when the warning is in effect and how frequently such breaks should be taken. The new rules also state that if sufficient measures are implemented, such as offering shaded areas, ensuring proper air ventilation, or reducing workload, employers may be exempted from providing these breaks.
A wave of exceptionally hot weather has blasted Southeast Asia over the past week. Walking on the streets in the capital, Manila, an umbrella is a must-have item. Amid scorching weather, the Philippines cancelled in-person classes for public school students for the coming 2 days. Crowds have sought relief in air-conditioned shopping malls to escape the soaring temperatures. The mercury hit 38.8 degrees Celsius in Manila over the weekend, and weather forecasts predict that temperature to hover around 37 degrees Celsius for the next 3 days. While the heat index, which is the actual temperature felt by the body, is expected to remain at a record 45 degrees Celsius until the second week of May. The heat wave is also putting pressure on power supplies, with 13 power plants already shut down earlier this month. In Thailand, power demand has hit record high as people turned to air conditioning for relief. Even splashing water during the Songkran festival did not help cool down the country. Bangkok issued extreme heat warnings as its index rose to very dangerous levels, with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees Celsius last week. About 30 people have died of heat stroke so far this year. People are warned to avoid outdoor activities. The unusually high temperatures have caused disruption to education and agriculture across the region. In Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, India, and Bangladesh, forecasters warn that temperatures could exceed 40 degrees Celsius in the coming days. High temperatures this summer have been worsened by the El Niño effect, which brings hotter, dry conditions to the region. Global temperatures hit record highs last year, and the United Nations Weather and Climate Agency warned earlier that Asia was warming at a particularly rapid pace. Anna Chan, Cable News. The Japanese yen further weakened against the US dollar, dropping to more than 160 to the greenback in early trading today, marking a fresh 34-year low. However, the Asian currency rebounded strongly to end the day at around 155 to the US dollar on speculation that Japanese authorities might have intervened to stop yen's slide. A senior finance ministry official declined to comment on the yen's sharp rise. The Japanese currency was under heavy selling pressure, which increased after the Bank of Japan last week decided to leave its monetary policy unchanged. Finance Minister Shinichi Suzuki said the government is worried about the negative impact of the depreciation of the yen, stressing that he will closely monitor the foreign exchange market to take countermeasures.